I'm Marie Washington, and at 53, I've learned that inspiration strikes at the most inconvenient hours. Tonight, like so many others, sleep eludes me while my mind races with storylines and character arcs. The digital clock mocks me with its red glow. 2:17 a.m. The 24-hour gym on Shaw Avenue becomes my sanctuary when the creative demons won't let me rest. Most nights, I'm the only soul here, sketching between sets while the fluorescent lights hum their monotonous tune. My latest comic series deadline looms, and my editor Diana keeps reminding me that readers are waiting for the next installment of Midnight Heroines. I'm halfway through my third set of lat pulls when she walks in. She's younger, maybe early 30s, with rich brunette hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Green eyes scan the empty gym before settling on me with curious interest. Most people avoid the late-night crowd at this place, but she moves with purpose, setting her gym bag down near the yoga mats. I try not to stare, focusing instead on the rough sketch of my protagonist that's taking shape on a napkin. But I catch myself glancing over as she begins her routine. There's something graceful about her movements, fluid like she's dancing rather than exercising. 20 minutes later, the gym's ancient sound system decides to give up completely, leaving us in awkward silence, broken only by the whir of treadmill belts and the clink of weights. "Dead again?" she says, nodding toward the silent speakers. Her voice carries a slight rasp, like she's been talking to plants all day. "Happens twice a week," I reply, surprised by my own willingness to engage. "Management says they'll fix it." She laughs, a warm sound that fills the sterile space. "They've been saying that since I started coming here 3 months ago." She approaches slowly, and I notice the small calluses on her hands, the kind that come from working with soil and tools rather than just gym equipment. I'm Scarlett. Marie. I close my sketch pad, suddenly self-conscious about my amateur doodles. "Artist?" she asks, gesturing toward the pad. "Comic book writer, illustrator, whatever pays the bills." That's incredible. I love graphic novels. Her enthusiasm seems genuine, not the polite interest most people fake. "What kind of stories do you tell?" Before I can answer, she's pulling earbuds from her bag. "Want to share some music? I've got a pretty decent classic rock playlist." I hesitate. Shared earbuds feel intimate, the kind of gesture that belongs to teenagers or lovers, not middle-aged insomniacs in a dingy gym. But something about her directness appeals to me. "Sure." She hands me one earbud, keeping the other for herself. The opening chords of Hotel California fill my ear, and I can't help but smile. Good choice. My dad's influence. He said real music doesn't need synthesizers. We fall into an easy rhythm, working out in companionable silence while the Eagles play between us. I catch her watching me sketch between sets, but she doesn't intrude with questions. There's patience in her observation, like she understands the creative process requires space. When Born to Run comes on, she starts mouthing the words, and I find myself doing the same. We're both Springsteen fans, apparently. Another small connection in this fluorescent-lit bubble we've created. "I should head out," she says when the playlist loops back to the beginning. "Early morning with the patients." "Patients?" "I'm a garden therapy specialist. Work with folks who need healing through growing things." She pauses, studying my face. "Plants don't judge, you know?" Sometimes people need that. I watch her pack up, noting the careful way she coils her earbuds, the methodical folding of her yoga mat. Everything about her speaks of someone who tends to details, who nurtures things back to health. "Same time tomorrow?" she asks, and there's something hopeful in her voice that makes my chest tighten. "Probably. Insomnia's pretty reliable." She grins. "Then I'll bring better music." After she leaves, I sit alone with my sketches, but for once, my mind isn't racing toward the next deadline. Instead, I'm thinking about green eyes and the way her laugh filled empty spaces. Maybe insomnia isn't such a curse after all. Our midnight appointments become unspoken agreements. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, always after 2 a.m., when Fresno sleeps and the gym belongs to us alone. I find myself looking forward to these sessions more than I care to admit. My sketches growing bolder as I watch her move through her routines. Tonight she's doing yoga, and I'm supposed to be working on character designs for my editor. Instead, I'm drawing the elegant curve of her spine, the graceful extension. of her arms as she flows from warrior pose to downward dog. The fluorescent lights catch the sheen of sweat on her skin, and I try to capture that luminescence on paper. "You're staring," she says without opening her eyes, mid-pose. Heat flushes my cheeks. "I'm observing, for artistic purposes." "Uh-huh." She transitions into child's pose, then looks up at me with those impossible green eyes. "What's the artistic interpretation of me right now?" "Strength and stillness," I answer honestly. "Most people think yoga is passive, but you're engaged in every muscle, every breath." Something shifts in her expression, surprise maybe, or appreciation. My patients would like that description. They think therapy is just about talking through trauma. She stands, wiping her mat down with practiced efficiency. Speaking of which, I brought something. From her bag, she produces a small container filled with what look like homemade energy bars, dates, almonds, a little dark chocolate, better than the processed garbage from the vending machine. I accept one cautiously. It tastes like earth and sweetness, wholesome in a way that reminds me how poorly I've been treating my body lately. "This is incredible. You made these?" Growing and making food goes hand in hand. My patients help me in the kitchen sometimes, therapeutic on multiple levels. We settle on adjacent benches, sharing the bars while Prince croons through her earbuds. The intimacy of eating together in this empty space feels significant, though I can't pinpoint why. "Tell me about your comics," she says, licking chocolate from her thumb. Superheroines. Women who discover their power later in life. My latest is about a librarian who develops the ability to bring book characters to life. Escapism? Empowerment. Women my age are supposed to be invisible. My characters refuse that narrative. She nods slowly. Garden therapy works the same way. People think they're broken, that growth is behind them. Then they nurture something from seed to harvest and realize they've got more life in them than they knew. The conversation flows until the sky outside begins to lighten. We pack up reluctantly, both aware that daylight will intrude on whatever this is we're building. "Would you like to see my studio sometime?" The words tumble out before I can stop them. "I mean, if you're interested in the creative process, I'd love that." Thursday becomes our studio night. Scarlett arrives at my house carrying a thermos of herbal tea that smells like chamomile and mint. I'm nervous, showing her this space where I spend most of my waking hours. Surrounded by half-finished illustrations and empty coffee cups. "Damn," she breathes, taking in the organized chaos of my converted garage. Drafting tables covered with artwork, reference books stacked in precarious towers. Action figures posed for inspiration. This is where the magic happens. Magic's generous. Most days it feels like controlled insanity. She moves through the space reverently, studying the artwork pinned to boards along the walls. Her attention lingers on a series of sketches I've been working on lately. Figures that bear a striking resemblance to her elegant movements. "These are beautiful," she says quietly. "The way you capture motion, it's like watching someone dance." I step closer, drawn by the wonder in her voice. "You inspire me." The admission hangs between us, heavier than I intended. She turns to face me, and suddenly the cluttered studio feels intimate, charged with possibility. "Marie," she whispers, and the way she says my name sounds like prayer. I don't know who moves first, but somehow the space between us disappears. Her lips are soft, tentative at first, then warming under mine as I thread my fingers through her hair. She tastes like mint tea and something indefinably sweet, and when she pulls away, we're both breathless. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," she confesses. "So have I. I just didn't think someone like you would be interested in someone like me." She frowns. "Someone like me?" "Young, beautiful, full of life." I gesture at my graying temples, the fine lines around my eyes. "I'm 53, Scarlett. And I'm 32 and completely fascinated by every damn thing about you." Her hands frame my face. "Age is just numbers. What matters is this connection we have." She kisses me again, deeper this time, and I let myself believe her. The weeks that follow our first kiss change everything between us. We still meet at the gym, but the workouts become secondary to stolen touches and meaningful glances. At my studio, Scarlett curls up in the old armchair while I work, sharing stories about her patients between comfortable silences. "Tell me about the therapy work," I say one evening, pencil poised over a character sketch. What got you into it? She's quiet for a long moment, fingers tracing patterns on the chair's worn fabric. I was 24 when my brother died. Car accident. I couldn't handle traditional grief counseling, all that talking in circles. Her voice carries old pain, carefully contained. Someone suggested I try working with plants, something about nurturing life when death feels overwhelming. It saved me, honestly. I set down my pencil, giving her my full attention. That's why you understand healing so deeply. Trauma leaves scars, but it doesn't have to define the whole person. My patients are veterans, abuse survivors, people dealing with addiction. They come to me thinking they're broken beyond repair. But plants don't judge. Exactly. A tomato seedling doesn't care if you have flashbacks or shaky hands. It just needs water, sunlight, patience. People rediscover their capacity for gentleness through gardening. I'm sketching again, but now I'm drawing her hands as she speaks, the way. They move expressively, strong from soil work but tender in their gestures. You're drawing me again, she notes with amusement. Can't help it. You're fascinating. She rises from the chair, moving behind me to see the sketch. Is that how you see me? One way I see you. Her breath tickles my neck as she leans closer. Show me the others. I flip through pages, revealing weeks of observations. Scarlett stretching at the gym, laughing over tea, lost in thought while tending imaginary plants. Some sketches are technical studies, others more intimate, capturing moments when she thought I wasn't watching. Marie, these are incredible. Her voice drops to a whisper, but also intensely personal. Panic suddenly grips me. I'm sorry, I should have asked permission. It's invasive, I know, I just... Stop. She turns my chair to face her. That's not what I meant. Then what? You see me like I'm beautiful. Worth capturing, worth cherishing. Her eyes glisten. No one's ever looked at me like that before. That's impossible. I've dated plenty of people. But they saw the therapist, the caretaker, the woman who fixes things. You see all of me. The sketch pad falls forgotten as she steps closer, her hands finding my shoulders. I've been thinking about that kiss for days. Just thinking? Dreaming about it. Wondering what comes next. Thunder rumbles outside, and rain begins pattering against the studio windows. The summer storm that's been threatening all day finally arrives, turning the air electric. What do you want to come next? I ask, my voice barely audible over the increasing rainfall. Instead of answering with words, Scarlett kisses me, deep and searching. My hands find her waist, pulling her closer until she's straddling my lap in the chair. The sketches scatter to the floor as she tangles her fingers in my hair. I want you, she breathes against my lips. All of you. The rain pounds harder against the windows as we move together, hands exploring, clothes becoming barriers we're eager to remove. She guides me to the old couch I keep for late-night breaks, her skin luminous in the studio's soft lighting. When she touches me, really touches me, it's with the same reverence. She shows her plants, patient and attentive to every response. I've forgotten what it feels like to be worshipped, to have someone take time discovering what makes me come alive. Her mouth traces paths that make me arch beneath her, whispering encouragements that sound like devotions. Later, as the storm passes and we lie entwined on the narrow couch, she traces lazy patterns on my skin. I've never felt this way before, she admits. What way? Complete. Like I've been waiting my whole life to find you. I want to tell her I feel the same, that at 53 I never expected to experience this kind of connection. Instead, I hold her closer and listen to the gentle rhythm of rain on the roof, wondering if it's possible that some people really are meant to find each other, even if it takes decades. Stay tonight, I whisper. Are you sure? I'm sure about you, Scarlett. Maybe that's enough for now. She kisses my shoulder softly. It's everything. A month into whatever we're calling this, Scarlett suggests we venture beyond the safety of my studio and the gym. The Fresno Farmers Market on Saturday morning feels like stepping into daylight, after living in shadows, and I'm not entirely comfortable with the transition. Relax, Scarlett murmurs, her fingers briefly touching mine as we browse the vegetable stands. We're just two friends buying groceries. But we're not, and everyone seems to sense it. The way she lights up explaining heirloom tomatoes to me. How I lean in closer than necessary when she points out the best peaches, the comfortable rhythm we've developed moving through the crowd together. It all screams intimacy to anyone paying attention. Marie Washington? A familiar voice freezes me in place. I turn to see Diana Chen, my former colleague from the publishing house, approaching with her characteristic aggressive smile. Diana and I have history, the complicated kind that comes from working closely with someone who wanted more than professional collaboration. Diana, what brings you to Fresno? Visiting my sister. But more importantly, what brings you here with... She eyes Scarlett expectantly. Scarlett Flores. Scarlett introduces herself, extending her hand with easy confidence. I'm a garden therapist. How fascinating. Diana's tone suggests it's anything but. And you two are? The pause stretches uncomfortably. I feel Scarlett's questioning glance, waiting for me to define us, to claim her publicly. Instead, I stumble over words like a teenager. We're friends. Neighbors, really. Scarlett's helping me research botanical elements for my next graphic novel. The lie tastes bitter, and I see something flicker in Scarlett's eyes before she recovers her composure. The therapeutic aspects of gardening make for compelling character development, she adds smoothly. Diana watches this exchange with barely concealed amusement. Well, Marie's always been dedicated to her research, sometimes too dedicated for her own good. What's that supposed to mean? Scarlett asks. Oh, just that Marie has a tendency to disappear into her work. Relationships have always been secondary to deadlines. Heat flushes my face. Diana, remember that Christmas when you canceled our plans because inspiration struck? Or the vacation we postponed indefinitely because your editor needed revisions? I want to disappear. These criticisms feel especially sharp with Scarlett listening, learning. Things about me I haven't had the courage to share myself. That was different, I manage weakly. Was it? Diana's smile turns predatory. Well, I should let you get back to your research. Lovely meeting you, Scarlett. After she leaves, Scarlett and I continue shopping in strained silence. The easy intimacy of the morning has evaporated, replaced by the weight of my cowardice. Research? Scarlett finally says as we load tomatoes into her basket. I panicked. Because you're ashamed of me? No, because I'm ashamed of me. The words come out harsher than intended. Because I'm 53 and still terrified of what people think. She stops walking, forcing me to face her among the bustling crowd. What people think about what? About me being with someone young and beautiful. About what that makes me look like. I lower my voice. About being with a woman. Something painful crosses her face. How long since you were with a woman? Openly? Never. There were a few encounters in college, but I buried that part of myself pretty effectively. Until now. Until you. We finish shopping in contemplative quiet, but when Scarlett suggests coming over for lunch, I agree readily. I need to repair whatever damage my public cowardice has caused. At home, I'm barely through the door when she's in my arms, kissing me with desperate intensity. I hated that, she whispers against my lips. Pretending we're just friends. I'm sorry. I'll do better. Will you? Because I can't keep being your secret, Marie. I won't. I see the ultimatum forming in her eyes and kiss her to stop the words. We stumble toward the bedroom, hands seeking familiar territories, trying to bridge the gap my fear has created with passion. Later, Rebecca calls while we're lying tangled in afternoon sunlight. Scarlett puts the call on speaker without asking, another test of my commitment to transparency. How's the mysterious artist? Rebecca asks immediately. You've been glowing for weeks. Scarlett looks at me pointedly. She's more than I expected. Good more, or complicated more? Complicated good. I think I'm falling for her, Becca. My breath catches. It's the first time either of us has used words approaching love. And how does she feel? Another pause, another chance for me to step up. She's figuring it out, Scarlett says diplomatically. After the call ends, we lie in charged silence. Is that true? I ask. Are you falling for me? I fell weeks ago. I'm just waiting for you to catch up. I turn to study her face in the golden light filtering through my bedroom curtains. What if I'm too set in my ways, too scared? Then you'll break my heart. Her honesty is devastating, but I think you're braver than you give yourself credit for. What makes you so sure? She traces the line of my jaw with gentle fingers. Because brave women create stories about invisible women finding their power. They just sometimes need reminding that they're the heroines of their own lives. 3 weeks after my humiliation at the farmer's market, I'm finally finding the courage to hold Scarlett's hand in public when everything changes. We're walking through downtown Fresno, debating dinner plans, when she suddenly stops mid-sentence. Her face goes pale as she stares at the evening news broadcast flickering on a restaurant's outdoor TV. Breaking news from the Fresno Community Gardens where vandals have destroyed hundreds of rare medicinal plants valued at over $50,000. Police are investigating what appears to be a targeted theft rather than random vandalism. The reporter's voice fades as I watch Scarlett's expression crumble. That's my main project site, she whispers. Those plants took years to cultivate. I'm so sorry. Who would do something like this? She doesn't answer immediately, her eyes fixed on the footage of trampled garden beds and empty raised planters. Something in her stillness makes my stomach clench with unease. Scarlett? We need to go home. Now. The drive to her place is tense, filled with her nervous energy and my growing questions. I've been to her house only twice before, both brief visits where we quickly retreated to my studio instead. Tonight, as we pull into her driveway, I'm struck again by how immaculate everything looks, how precisely maintained her own gardens are. Inside, she paces while I try to offer comfort that feels increasingly inadequate. The police will find whoever did this. Insurance will cover. You don't understand. She stops pacing, faces me with something that looks like panic. Those weren't just community plants. Some of them were part of my research. What kind of research? Before she can answer, headlights sweep across her living room window. An unmarked car pulls into the driveway, and my chest tightens as I recognize the official nature of this visit. The doorbell rings, and I watch Scarlett compose herself with visible effort before answering. A tall man in a rumpled suit flashes his badge. Miss Flores? Detective Jake Morrison, Fresno PD. I need to ask you some questions about the community gardens break-in. Of course. Come in. Detective Morrison settles onto her couch with practiced ease, notebook already in hand. His eyes take in every detail of the room, lingering on the botanical prints covering. The walls, the several thriving plants in expensive-looking containers. You're the lead garden therapist on the project? One of them. I work primarily with the medicinal herbs section. The section that was specifically targeted. His tone is conversational, but I catch the underlying sharpness. Interesting that whoever did this knew exactly which plants to take and which to leave behind. Scarlett's hands clench in her lap. Many of those specimens were unique cultivars. Anyone with botanical knowledge would recognize their value. Speaking of botanical knowledge, Morrison flips through his notes. Your background is quite impressive. PhD in botany. Previous work with pharmaceutical companies developing plant-based medicines. That's correct. Including 3 years at Meridian Pharmaceuticals, where you had access to rare genetic plant samples. The air in the room seems to thicken. I glance between them, trying to understand why this feels more like an interrogation than a victim interview. Detective Morrison, I interject. Surely you're not suggesting that Scarlett... I'm not suggesting anything yet, Miss Washington. Just gathering information. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. It's interesting timing, though. Several other community gardens have been hit in the past 6 months, all targeting rare medicinal plants. All in cities where former Meridian employees have relocated. Scarlett's face goes ashen. You think I'm involved in plant theft? I think you have specialized knowledge that would be valuable to certain parties. The street value of what was stolen last night exceeds $200,000 in some markets. This is ridiculous. I stand up, protective instincts flaring. Scarlett dedicates her life to helping people and communities. Why would she destroy her own work? Morrison's attention shifts to me with uncomfortable intensity. And you are? A friend. A close friend from what I observe. He gestures vaguely at our obvious intimacy, the way we've unconsciously moved closer together. How long have you known Miss Flores? A few months. And in that time, has she mentioned any financial difficulties? Any contact with former colleagues from the pharmaceutical industry? I look at Scarlett, suddenly realizing how little I actually know about her past, her finances, her connections. The woman I've been falling in love with might be hiding more than I imagined. I think we're done here, Scarlett says firmly. If you have specific accusations, make them. Otherwise, I'd like you to leave. Morrison stands slowly, tucking his notebook away. We'll be in touch. In the meantime, I'd suggest you don't leave town. These investigations can take time. After he leaves, we sit in silence that feels different from our comfortable quiet moments. This silence is charged with doubt and unasked questions. Marie, Scarlett finally says, there are things about my past I haven't told you. What kind of things? Complicated things. Things that have nothing to do with theft, but everything to do with why I left pharmaceutical work. I want to ask more. To demand the transparency I've been craving in our relationship. But the vulnerability in her voice stops me. Are you in some kind of trouble? I might be. And I'm terrified that being with me might put you in danger too. The words hang between us like a confession, and I realize our fragile new relationship is about to face its first real test. The next few days pass in a haze of doubt and careful distances. Scarlett cancels our gym sessions with vague excuses about police interviews and insurance paperwork. When I text, her responses are polite but distant, lacking the warmth that became our constant connection. I throw myself into work, but every sketch turns into her face, her hands, her expressions from that night with Detective Morrison. The woman I've been falling for is becoming a stranger, someone with secrets I'm not allowed to know. Wednesday evening, I cave and drive to her house unannounced. Her car is in the driveway, but lights are on only in the back. I follow the stone path around to her greenhouse, a structure I've admired but never entered. Through the glass panels, I can see her moving among the plants with focused intensity. She's wearing mud-stained jeans and a tank top, hair pulled back in a messy bun. This is the Scarlett I fell for, the one who finds peace in nurturing growing things. I knock softly on the greenhouse door. She freezes when she sees me, and for a moment I think she might not let me in. Then she wipes her hands on a towel and opens the door. Marie, I wasn't expecting you. I know, we need to talk. The greenhouse is larger than it appeared from outside, filled with plants I don't recognize. Some look medicinal, others purely ornamental, but all are thriving under careful attention. The air is humid and green, alive with the smell of earth and growth. It's beautiful in here, I say honestly. It's my sanctuary, where I come when the world gets too complicated. She's avoiding eye contact, arranging already perfect plant labels. Scarlett, what's happening between us? I'm protecting you. From what? From getting involved in something that could hurt you. She finally looks at me, and I see fear in her green eyes. Detective Morrison wasn't wrong about my background with Meridian. I did have access to rare genetic samples. My heart sinks. Did you steal them? No. But I did something almost as bad. She sinks onto a potting bench, suddenly looking exhausted. I discovered that some of our research was being used to create designer drugs, plants modified to produce specific psychoactive compounds. And you reported it? I tried to. Internal channels, regulatory agencies, even a whistleblower hotline. Nothing happened. Too much money involved. Too many powerful people invested. She picks up a small potted seedling, cradling it gently. So I took samples of the original, unmodified plants and destroyed my research before I left. That's not theft, that's heroism. Tell that to the DEA agents who questioned me for 6 hours last month. Or the private investigators who've been following me since I moved to Fresno. The implications hit me like cold water. You're being watched. Which means anyone close to me is being watched too, including you. I move closer, reaching for her hand. She doesn't pull away, but her touch feels fragile. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was falling in love with you and wanted to pretend I could have a normal relationship for once in my life. The admission stops my breath. Past tense? Present tense. Which makes this harder. I'm close enough now to see the tears she's fighting. Scarlett, whatever trouble you're in, we can face it together. Can we? When photographers show up at your house asking about your relationship with a suspected drug dealer? When your editor drops you because you're associated with criminal activity, that won't happen. It might. And I can't ask you to risk your career, your life, for me. The greenhouse feels suddenly too small, too warm. I'm drowning in plant-scented air and the weight of her sacrifice. What if I want to risk it? She stands abruptly, moving to a workbench covered with seedlings. Her hands shake as she adjusts a grow light. There's something else. My stomach clenches. What? In the back corner, behind the tomatoes. I follow her pointing finger to where several mature plants grow in expensive-looking hydroponic setups. Even without botanical expertise, I can tell these aren't ordinary vegetables. What are they? Samples I saved from Meridian. The original plants before they were genetically modified for drug production. Her voice drops to a whisper. They're worth millions to the right buyers. The pieces click together with horrible clarity. The community garden thefts. Someone knows you have these. Someone knows I know where to get these. The thefts are pressure tactics, trying to force me to give up my samples. Or make you look guilty so the police focus on you instead of the real thieves. She nods miserably. Either way, I'm trapped. And anyone close to me becomes a target too. I stare at the innocent-looking plants that have turned our budding relationship into a minefield. Part of me wants to run, to return to the safety of my studio and uncomplicated fictional characters. But a larger part, the part that's been falling in love with this brave, complicated woman, refuses to abandon her. We need to call Detective Morrison. Explain what's really happening. With what proof? Ex-pharmaceutical employee with valuable plants claims she's being framed? He'll arrest me tonight. Then what do you suggest? She meets my eyes for the first time since I arrived. I suggest you walk away, Marie, while you still can. Instead of answering, I kiss her, hard and desperate, trying to communicate everything I can't find words for. She responds for a moment, then pulls away. That's not fair. Neither is asking me to choose between you and safety. I choose you, Scarlett, whatever comes next. Even if it ruins everything you've built? Everything I've built feels empty without you in it. She collapses against me then, and I hold her while she finally lets herself cry. Outside, the Fresno night is warm and still, deceptively peaceful. But in this glass sanctuary, surrounded by dangerous secrets and thriving life, we cling to each other like survivors of a storm that's only just beginning. 2 days after our greenhouse confrontation, everything unravels at once. I'm in my studio, trying to lose myself in pencil strokes, when Scarlett bursts through the door without knocking. Her face is flushed with excitement, and something that might be hope. I figured it out, she says breathlessly. The connection between all the thefts. I set down my drawing tablet. What connection? Marcus Chen. He's Diana's sister's husband, and he works for a private biotech firm that's been buying stolen botanical samples on the black market. The name hits me like ice water. Diana's sister? The same Diana who conveniently showed up at the farmer's market asking personal questions about us, who seemed way too interested in my background. Scarlett collapses into her usual chair, adrenaline leaving her shaky. I spent 2 days digging through public records and corporate filings. You think Diana's involved? I think she was gathering intelligence. About my relationship with you. About how isolated I am. How vulnerable to manipulation. My mind races through the implications. Diana's unexpected appearance in Fresno, her pointed questions about my work habits, her obvious interest in destabilizing whatever she sensed between Scarlett and me. But why would she target you specifically? Scarlett pulls out her phone, showing me screenshots of corporate documents. Because her brother-in-law's company lost their pharmaceutical contracts when I blew the whistle on Meridian. Marcus Chen was their head of botanical acquisition. So this is revenge. And profit. They've been systematically stealing rare plants to rebuild their genetic library. The community gardens were perfect targets, public spaces with valuable specimens and minimal security. I study the evidence she's assembled, feeling pieces click into place. What about Detective Morrison? Is he involved? I don't think so. I think he's legitimately trying to solve a crime but focusing on the wrong suspect because someone's been feeding him misleading information. Diana. Probably. She had just enough inside knowledge about you to seem credible when she suggested I might be using you for cover. The betrayal stings more than I expected. Diana and I have history, complicated and unresolved, but I never imagined she'd weaponize it against someone innocent. We need to take this to Morrison immediately. Already called him. He's meeting us at the police station in an hour. She stands to leave, but I catch her hand. Scarlett, wait. Before we go, there's something I need to say. Her eyes search my face. What? I've been thinking about what you said in the greenhouse. About choosing you versus choosing safety. I take a shaky breath. I need you to know that falling in love with you has been the least safe, most terrifying, absolutely best thing that's happened to me in years. Marie, let me finish. I spent decades avoiding risk, avoiding real intimacy, avoiding anything that might disrupt my carefully controlled life. You disrupted everything, and instead of running away, I want to run toward whatever we're building together. Her smile is radiant through tears I didn't realize had started falling. Even if it gets complicated? Especially if it gets complicated. I'm 53 years old, and I'm finally brave enough to admit I'm completely in love with you. She kisses me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. I love you too. Present tense, future tense, every tense that exists. At the police station, Detective Morrison listens to Scarlett's evidence with growing interest. Corporate documents, timeline correlations, financial records connecting the thefts to Marcus Chen's biotech firm. This is solid detective work, he admits. Why didn't you bring this to me sooner? Because I was terrified you'd arrest me before I could prove my innocence. And because someone's been feeding you information designed to make Scarlett look guilty, I add, thinking of Diana's calculated manipulations. Morrison nods slowly. We'll need you to testify if this goes to trial. Both of you, probably. Whatever it takes. As we leave the station, I feel lighter than I have in weeks. The weight of secrets and suspicion is lifting, replaced by something that feels like hope. So what happens now? I ask, as we walk to our cars. Now we go home and pretend to be normal people in love, while the police build their case. She pauses, keys in hand. Speaking of which, your place or mine? Mine. I want to show you the new sketches I've been working on. More superheroines. More you. I've been designing a character based on you, actually. A garden therapist who discovers she has the power to accelerate plant growth and uses it to fight environmental crime. Her laugh echoes off the parking garage walls. That's the nerdiest thing anyone's ever said to romance me. Did it work? She pulls me close, kissing me thoroughly despite the public setting. Everything about you works, Marie Washington. Everything. As we drive home separately, I catch myself smiling at red lights, humming along to songs on the radio. The crisis isn't over, but for the first time since that night with Detective Morrison, our future feels possible again. Love, it turns out, is worth fighting for after all. The arrests happen just 2 weeks after we present evidence to Detective Morrison. Marcus Chen and 3 associates are caught red-handed staging another community garden theft, this time targeting the Botanical Conservatory in Sacramento. The relief is overwhelming. Diana calls me the day after the arrests make headlines. I let it go to voicemail, then delete her message without listening. Some bridges are better left burned. It's over, Scarlett whispers as we watch the news coverage from her living room couch. I can't believe it's actually over. You can stop looking over your shoulder now. We both can. She curls against me, and I marvel at how natural this has become, how perfectly she fits in my arms. So what happens next? Next, I have a proposal for you. She sits up, eyebrows raised. What kind of proposal? I laugh at her expression. A professional one, relax. My editor is interested in the superhero garden therapist concept. She wants to know if you'd consult on a graphic novel series. Seriously? Seriously. It would mean working together, traveling to conventions, maybe even some television interviews if it takes off. Television interviews about fictional plants and comic book heroes? Television interviews about healing trauma through nurturing life, about finding power in unexpected places, about women who refuse to be invisible. I brush a strand of hair from her face, about love stories that start at midnight in empty gyms. She's quiet for a long moment, processing. That's a lot of exposure, a lot of publicity. Too much? No, perfect actually. I'm tired of hiding who I am, what I do, who I love. She kisses my palm. I want the whole world to know about us. The next few months blur together in the best possible way. We divide time between my studio and her greenhouse, collaborating on character development and plot lines. Watching her explain botanical science while I sketch her ideas creates a creative synergy I've never experienced with another person. The graphic novel proposal sells to a major publisher within weeks. Suddenly we're partners in every sense, personally and professionally, intertwined in ways that feel both thrilling and completely natural. One evening, after a particularly productive day developing backstory, we're cleaning up the studio when she stops mid-motion. Marie? Yeah. I want to ask you something, but I'm nervous about it. I set down my brushes, giving her full attention. What is it? I've been thinking about combining our lives more officially. My lease is up next month, and your studio setup is perfect for what we're building together. You want to move in? I want to move in. But more than that, I want to create something new together. A shared space where we can live and work and grow things and tell stories. The idea sends warmth spreading through my chest. What did you have in mind? Convert part of your backyard into a greenhouse extension. Set up a proper botanical lab next to your art studio. Create a place where healing and creativity happen side by side. That sounds perfect. And expensive? The advance from the graphic novel series will cover most of it. Plus, I've been saving for years to start my own practice. I study her face, seeing excitement and hope, and just a trace of vulnerability. Are you sure you want to tie your life to mine so completely? I'm sure I want to tie my life to yours in every way possible. She moves closer, hands finding my waist. I love you, Marie. I love your creativity, your courage, your laugh lines, your terrible coffee, the way you steal the covers at night. I don't steal covers. You absolutely steal covers, and I love that too. She kisses me softly, and I taste the future in her mouth, sweet and green and full of possibility. When we break apart, her eyes are bright with unshed tears. Is that a yes to the greenhouse laboratory? That's a yes to everything. The lab, the collaboration, the shared life, all of it. Good. Because I may have already put a deposit down on the construction materials. I laugh, pulling her closer. Presumptuous. Confident. There's a difference. Later, as we lie entwined in my bed that's become our bed, she traces patterns on my bare shoulder. I have something else to tell you, she says softly. More presumptuous decisions? I contacted the Community Gardens organization. They want me to head up a restoration project, replanting everything that was destroyed during the thefts. That's wonderful. It means working with some of your subjects from the graphic novel, trauma survivors, veterans, people finding healing through gardening. Her voice grows thoughtful. I want to document their stories. Maybe create a companion book to go with your comic series. Memoir meets graphic novel? Exactly. Your art, my therapy insights, their voices. A complete picture of how creativity and growth intersect in healing. I turn to face her fully, amazed by the scope of what we're building together. You realize this means we're creating an empire, right? Books, comics, television appearances, maybe documentary films. Is that too much? It's exactly enough. I kiss her forehead, breathing in the scent of her hair. I spent 53 years playing it safe, creating small stories for small audiences. With you, I want to create something that matters. With me, you can create anything. Outside, Fresno sleeps under summer stars, but in this bed, in this moment, we're planning futures that feel limitless. Love, it turns out, isn't just worth fighting for. It's worth building on, worth risking everything to nurture into something extraordinary. And for the first time in my life, I'm brave enough to believe we might actually pull it off. 6 months later, I wake to the sound of hammering and Scarlett's laughter drifting through the bedroom window. The greenhouse extension is finally taking shape, a glass cathedral rising from what used to be my neglected backyard. I slip on a robe and step outside to find her directing the construction crew with the same patient authority she uses with her therapy patients. She's wearing work boots and paint-splattered jeans, hair pulled back under a baseball cap, and she's never looked more beautiful. "Morning, sleepyhead," she calls when she spots me. The glazing crew finished the south wall. Want to see? The structure is breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling glass panels create a seamless transition between my art studio and what will become her botanical laboratory. Raised beds are already installed, waiting for the plants that will bridge her therapeutic work with my creative projects. It's perfect, I breathe. Wait until you see the inside. She leads me through the connecting door we had installed between the studio and greenhouse. The space feels like a marriage of our two worlds. My drafting tables and easels occupy one side, while her potting benches and grow lights claim the other. A comfortable seating area in the center provides space for collaboration and consultation. The heating system goes in next week, then we can start moving plants, she explains, but I'm barely listening. I'm too busy imagining the life we'll build in this space, the stories we'll create together. Marie. She's watching me with concern. You're crying. Happy tears. I never thought I'd have this. Any of this. She pulls me close, and I smell sawdust and soil in her hair. What specifically? A partner who understands my work. A shared purpose. A future that excites me instead of terrifying me. The graphic novel comes out next month, she reminds me. Are you ready for everything that means? I'm ready for anything with you. The release of Midnight Heroine's Garden of Healing exceeds everyone's expectations. The story of a garden therapist who discovers she has the power to accelerate plant growth, while helping trauma survivors resonates with readers in ways neither of us anticipated. Interview requests pour in. Therapy professionals want to understand Scarlett's techniques. Comic fans want to know about my creative process. LGBTQ+ media wants to explore our relationship as an example of love finding people later in life. CNN wants us for a morning show segment, I tell Scarlett over breakfast, scrolling through emails on my phone. About the book? About us. Love stories that start after 50 or something like that? She sets down her coffee cup. Are you comfortable with that level of exposure? Are you asking if I'm ready to be publicly, obviously, undeniably in love with you on national television? That's exactly what I'm asking. I reach across the table for her hand. Scarlett Flores, I'd marry you on national television if you'd have me. The words slip out before I realize what I've said. We've talked about the future in general terms, but never about marriage specifically. Her eyes widen with surprise. Are you proposing? I'm suggesting. Testing the waters. Seeing if the idea terrifies you. The only thing that terrifies me is the possibility of losing you. Then it's a good thing I'm not going anywhere. She stands, circling the table to straddle my lap. Marie Washington, are you asking me to marry you? I'm asking if you'd want me to ask you to marry me. That's the most convoluted proposal attempt in history. It's not a proposal, it's a pre-proposal. A proposal. She kisses me, silencing my nervous babbling. Yes, she murmurs against my lips. Yes to what? Yes to the CNN interview. Yes to being publicly, obviously, undeniably in love with you. Yes to marriage, if and when you work up the courage to actually ask me properly. What constitutes properly? Surprise me. The CNN interview airs on a Tuesday morning in October, with autumn light streaming through our new greenhouse in the background. We talk about the book, about healing through creativity, about finding love when you're not looking for it. What advice would you give to women who think it's too late for new chapters in their lives? The interviewer asks. I look at Scarlett, sitting beside me with her hand resting casually on my knee, and think about the journey that brought us here, from midnight gym encounters to building an empire together. It's never too late to surprise yourself, I say. I spent 53 years thinking I knew who I was, what my life would look like. Then I met this incredible woman who showed me I'd barely started living. And Scarlett, any advice for couples navigating significant age differences? Age is just one factor in compatibility, she answers thoughtfully. What matters is growing in the same direction, supporting each other's dreams, being brave enough to build something new together. After the cameras stop rolling, we walk through our greenhouse together, checking on seedlings and planning the expansion we'll need for next year's projects. The Community Garden Restoration Project has evolved into a non-profit organization. My graphic novel series has been optioned for a Netflix adaptation. Do you ever miss the simplicity? Scarlett asks, deadheading marigolds. When we were just two people meeting at a gym? Never. Do you? Sometimes I miss the anticipation. the uncertainty of whether you'd choose me. I set down my watering can, pulling her into my arms between the tomato plants and healing herbs. Scarlett Flores, will you marry me? Properly? As properly as I can manage in a greenhouse surrounded by vegetables? She laughs, the sound echoing off glass walls. Yes, Marie Washington. Yes to marriage, yes to forever, yes to whatever comes next. As the sun sets over Fresno, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, we stand together in the space we've built, surrounded by growing things, and the promise of more stories to tell. At 54 and 33, we're just getting started. And for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of what comes next. I'm excited about it.